Too. We've got Coach Zaid in the house, and welcome to S2E5. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I am good and looking forward to today's exciting topic and to see exactly what is it we are going to be exploring. So, what is it that you have selected to torture us with today?
I thought the Valentine's topic was going to be an interesting one. But I think today's one is even better. Today we're talking about that thing that everyone loves to throw around when they think they've got it. Emotional maturity.
Oh my word. The thing that people love to throw around when they think they've got it. What is emotional maturity?
Depending who you ask. And the interesting thing about it is that if you're throwing it around, if you're reminding people that you are emotionally mature, that's an indication that you're not.
Oh my word. So basically what they say is emotional intelligence, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the gurus are saying that emotional EQ is the new IQ.
Yeah. Don't listen to gurus.
Okay.
Gurus are detached from real life. They are so busy academifying and theorizing about human behavior that they lost sight of the human.
And just to issue a disclaimer here, we're talking about your social media gurus, the one who come on and they profess to be the picture of emotional maturity or intelligence, or what it should look like, or how to identify it, or what happens if you don't have it. But yeah, I think when we talk about this, I think about people who are so book smart. But then when they get into a situation emotionally that unsettles them, they completely fall apart.
Yes.
And can't manage. Is that what we're talking about? Well, one example of.
One example of it. And the interesting thing is that the way they end up falling apart is going to look very composed and very kind of aloof. Right, it's the kind of thing that stonewalls you and refuses to engage and refuses to listen and refuses to tolerate your behavior and all that because they're better than that.
Okay,
that's not emotional maturity.
All right. So what does it look like, and how does it affect it? If you don't have it, how does it affect your quality of life?
I don't think it's a matter of whether you have it or not. It's just about at what level are you.
All right.
Right. So you're either at a low level of maturity, not just emotional, just maturity, or you're at a higher level of maturity. And that is determined entirely by, and I want to say this very carefully because people get this wrong all the time. It's not about life experiences, it's about what you take from life. And what you take from life, what you believe to be important about that experience and those experiences and those lessons and those opportunities and everything else, that's what will shape your maturity.
How do parents raise emotionally, aware, mature? I don't know. What's the word to use? What's the right way to do this?
You got to be it.
Yeah. You've got to model it.
Right. And your level of emotional maturity is what your children will see as being an acceptable minimum standard. And again, what they take from that, you can't control. So that's what makes parenting so colorful. Right. You can't dictate that your children are going to take the best from you. Sometimes they just despise what it is that you stand for because they're seeing someone else having a privileged life that looks very different to what you're trying to raise them with. And automatically that gives them a reason for resentment, and then they take the wrong things from it. And that's why I'm saying it's what you take from life, it's what you take from role models and examples, not what it is that you are presented with.
That's a good example because, children are growing up. They are obviously with their friends, their peers who live different lifestyles, and there's a level of comparison that happens there. And then they come home and they're wondering, why don't we have that?
Yes, and that comparison is the killer of everything good. If you're comparing because you want to see what you have and what you don't have versus what someone else has and what they don't have and whether you're better than them or worse than them and all of that, you're wasting your life. If you're comparing because you're holding yourself accountable for what's the quality of your life, what is it that you're doing of substance in your life that is creating the kind of experience that you want, then compare. But know why you're comparing. Don't just compare for the sake of what's different.
Exactly. Now, how does this help? So we are at different levels, right? And then we get into relationships. Now it gets messy.
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said before, two dysfunctional people will get along like a house on fire, right? So if your emotional maturity is at a similar level, you'll relate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get each other and you'll understand why your partner is the way they are and all of that, because you're at a similar level of interpreting each other's behavior and what your expectations are. And that's why you can make excuses for certain things, and you can tolerate certain things that other people look at and think like, what's wrong with you? Why are you staying? That's abusive and it's this and that's toxic and all of that.
True.
It's not their
True.
life. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't go for people who are throwing labels at your life, right? So your level of emotional maturity is about where you're at relative to how well you understand yourself and what it is that you are needing from the people around you.
What happens if somebody is of a more higher level? I don't know if you can say higher level of, they're more self-aware, and they are emotionally mature, and they are with somebody who is not.
Like I said, if you're throwing around this belief that you are more emotionally mature than someone else, then you're not emotionally mature. You're arrogant, right? You're self-absorbed
Yeah.
because you believe all that about yourself. Emotional maturity is something that is reflected in having a very grounded, composed disposition and not being easily kind of riled up or provoked.
I think we've seen this,
Yes.
right? Personally, I used to watch my dad do this.
Uh-huh.
He would rile my mother up and then laugh. The older generation.
Oh, yes.
They'd be like, at the table, they'd be like, when you were cooking today, your hand slipped with the masala. I don't understand. And then my mom would go into this. I stood for an hour making this food, and you can't even compliment me. And he would he would get a kick out of it,
Yes.
And he just knew the buttons, man, to press.
And then how quickly would your mother get over it? Because that would reflect the balance that they've got, right?
Yeah.
So yes, that's part of like keeping things real and keeping things light and like interesting. You know, you can't be so clinical about your emotional maturity and your boundaries and and all of these nonsense things that they keep throwing at us and expect life to be exciting or passionate.
Have we become too clinical? Do we look for labels for all of our conditions and moods and states?
Absolutely, yes. I was looking at, and I'm surprised you haven't thrown at me the 8 points or 10 points of emotional maturity yet. Because I looked at some of those this morning and I thought, let me just see if I actually do know what I'm talking about or not. And the more I read through these things, the more I realize that we're forgetting the human experience. We're just trying to unpack and analyze and clinically classify individual attributes that may or may not be experienced in a moment. It doesn't make sense. Why are we being so pedantic about how we're supposed to show up in a moment as opposed to showing up in the moment?
I think it's also justification for certain types of behavior. Oh, that's why I'm like this.
Yes.
Look, I'm sick.
And you don't have to take accountability for it.
Yes, I have mental health issues. Don't you know? So if I'm going to be screaming and becoming aggressive, you should understand. Like that's what we see.
Right. And the moment we tell someone else they must understand, why aren't we understanding them?
Yeah.
So what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah. And the 10 points are in front of me. But I haven't said anything about it yet.
Let's tear it apart quickly. Because it's like I want to demonstrate exactly how ridiculous we've become in trying to determine what it looks like to be just a wholesome human being.
Okay. So they're calling it domains of emotional intelligence.
Ooh.
Right?
See, and that makes it sound so much more important.
Yes. Self-management or regulation. I want to start with that. It's not on top, but it is one of them that I want to interrogate now. Self-management or self-regulation, which they describe as the ability to control impulsive feelings.
Okay.
And manage your emotions to adapt to changing circumstances.
Okay, now the moment you focus on control, you're in a defensive space. So that's not a healthy way to approach it. So if you're looking at whether you can control your responses, then that means that you have to restrain yourself. And restraining yourself is not a sustainable solution. because at some point it's going to bottle up and explode.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Restraint over time.
Restraint
Leads to
over
what?
time ends up with you bleeding on someone who didn't cut you, to use that mainstream trope that goes around.
Yeah.
You end up exploding on someone who had nothing to do with how you got to that point. And even though in that moment you might have a valid reason to be upset with them, the level and intensity to which you're upset is not because of what's happening in that moment. It's because of everything that happened up to that moment. And then you've just had enough, and they're the ones that got you to the point of having enough.
And that will be explosive, and it will be like people. That's when people say, "I don't understand it," but that's the straw that broke the camel's back,
Yes.
literally.
And unfortunately, in parenting, that often happens when the stresses of life and providing and taking care of your family get so much that your children are the ones that push you over that last bit. And then they get the brunt of it, not the people at work, or not the people on the road, or not the people in the government offices, or wherever it is that they've been undermining you all the time. And that's how your ability to restrain yourself is not a reflection of emotional maturity. It's just a reflection of your ability to control yourself.
Okay.
But it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not sustainable. It will either explode on the people around you, or it will implode, and you'll end up with massive health issues.
Yeah. And the next thing that I wanted to trigger you on is social awareness, the ability to understand the emotions, needs, and concerns of others. Pick up on emotional cues from others and recognize power dynamics.
Can you see how defensive all of this is and how opportunistic it is? It's about how do you read a situation and maximize the opportunities out of it and maximize the impact you want to have in it. No, come on. And more than that, if I need to be able to accurately and effectively understand and recognize other people's emotional sway and their emotional disposition and the power play and the power structure and all of that, I need to know that about myself. Because you can't give what you don't have. So if you're so focused on recognizing everyone else's, you're distracted from your own space.
And the thing is also you doing the work.
Yeah.
And other people are not as sensitive to your cues
Right.
and your power dynamics and your needs.
I've got a really interesting question on this one, right? And I hope it makes sense because it's just so ludicrous. So when we talk about this other people versus we doing the work, right? Between you and the other person, who gets to decide who's doing the work?
That's it.
Right? Because if I think I'm doing the work and they aren't, they're the ones that's all over the place and they making this difficult. I'm not considering the fact that maybe I'm the one that's actually errant and difficult and they're doing the work.
Exactly. Fool's paradise.
So who decides?
Yeah.
Who has the authority to say who's more emotionally mature than the other?
And where are these conversations taking place?
No, with the gurus. And the gurus are telling you that it's everyone else, not you.
Yes. They are saying, if you don't implement these boundaries, these 5 steps will get you respected in the workplace. You walk with your head held high. You say you maintain your no. All those things that you now label yourself here's my instruction. Here's my instruction. Tomorrow when I'm going in, this is how I am dealing with everyone.
Yeah.
And they all what's wrong with you?
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
Deepak Chopra said I can do that, and this is how it must be. And then, oh my God, he's on the files. Oh no. Okay, we have to get another
The
guru that we have
files.
to lean on here. Come on, stop creating heroes out of every person that sounds like they know what they're talking about. Don't create heroes out of people who think they've got it all together about life by going onto social media and preaching about it. Someone who's telling you how to live your life, someone who's telling you what living your life is supposed to look like, they don't know what life is about, right? And I'll say that categorically, and I'm happy for anyone to come and challenge me about it. The person who is trying to help you to understand why you're experiencing life that way, yeah, they've got something to offer you because you want to understand, you want to have insight, you want to become more aware of what's really going on versus what you perceive to be going on.
Yeah.
Now we're talking maturity. We're talking maturity because you don't jump to conclusions. We're talking maturity because you're seeing things from a different perspective. You're not only considering what you believe to be true about the situation. So then they talk about empathy. One of the 10 points I came across this morning is that there must be empathy for yourself and for others.
Yeah.
How do you have empathy for yourself?
That's a very good question.
Because empathy is about being able to insert yourself into the emotional space of the other person and recognize why it is that they may be experiencing what they're experiencing. or behaving the way they are. So how do you do that for yourself? You have to detach yourself from yourself to be able to insert yourself in your space so that you... Come on.
It's, when you think about it, it's a maze. It's a maze. And it's set up so that we just keep running. We just keep running. You're always labeling yourself. You're always looking for the diagnosis.
Yeah.
You're always looking for somebody to help you remedy. Why do I think the way I think? Why do I behave the way I behave? As if there's something wrong with you. You've lived your whole life achieving things, a certain way. And yes, somebody comes online and says, if you behave like this, something's wrong with you. Get help.
And what is that person's point of reference and what is their understanding of your life?
Yeah.
So because if we talk about people being able to restrain and not be impulsive and not be reactive and all of that, right? You literally just cancelled every person who had a traumatic experience in their life. You literally just cancel every person that might have come back from a war zone.
Yeah.
Or someone that's come back from a crime-ridden area. And they're on edge and they're reactive and they are emotionally charged.
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, you're emotionally immature because you can't control yourself.
Absolutely. And, the one that's sticking out for me is constructive feedback handling.
Who decides if it's constructive? The person criticizing or the person receiving the criticism?
And you see this all the time. Relationships, employers, they're like, we need to remember, all this that I'm telling you is for your own good.
Don't see it as criticism. See it as constructive feedback.
Constructive feedback, because we want to see you better. We want you to be better. When someone says, I want
gaslighting you.
I'm telling you, something goes off in my head like TNT. It starts exploding. And I'm waiting for the moment when I can actually say my say, but then I regulate myself.
And you restrain.
I practice restraint.
And then you demonstrate emotional maturity by not reacting.
Yes.
Even though in your mind you've got a very colorful conversation going on about the person.
No speech bubbles. I am cutely packaged in that moment. Smiling, batting the eyelashes. Yes, of course. All for my own good.
So theoretically, what we're saying is that you are emotionally mature when you can switch off the subtitles in your face.
Put that on a meme. And I will repost it everywhere.
We need to, where's the sensibility of life gone to? Where's the common sense gone to? And common sense is about what would be sensible, not about what everyone thinks.
Exactly.
Right? So if everyone experiences a certain thing as a sensible way to go about doing something, that should be common sense. Common sense is not because everyone believes it's true.
Yeah. And that's just the thing. Where is it coming from?
If it's coming from the gurus and the influencers, then that explains exactly why it is that we're in the state we're in.
Yeah. And we are in a state. If you can ask, somebody, you want constructive feedback, okay? Where is it coming from? Number one, you've got to evaluate the source.
Right, but I want to stop you on that one. Sorry for interrupting, but I need to stop you on that one. Because when we talk about constructive feedback, that's like going to someone and asking them how long is a piece of string. What determines what is constructive feedback? How do you know that what you're looking for is constructive feedback the other person perceives as constructive feedback? And emotional maturity, if anything, is a consequence of self-awareness. And self-awareness is your ability to be able to determine very mindfully and purposefully what impact are you having versus what impact do you want to have.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you see you having a certain impact and that's not what you intended, you see someone is getting upset when you're actually trying to have a genuine conversation with them about something, then constructive feedback in that case is like, hey, why are you getting upset? That's not how I meant it. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So the what versus the how.
That's you soliciting input about how effective am I at what I'm trying to achieve here.
Yes.
You're holding yourself accountable for your approach.
Yeah.
And until you understand why it is that you're not being received the way you're intending to be received, you're going to make all sorts of assumptions about how they're just full of nonsense and they're like this and they're like that and they don't appreciate me and all of this.
They don't want to grow.
Right? So you have to first eliminate why it is that the impact you have is not the impact you intended. And that could be so many different contributing factors. One of the biggest contributing factors for that is you might not be the person they want to receive that from. So it's got nothing to do with your emotional maturity or their emotional maturity. It's just that you don't represent what it is that they're looking for as a source for that input.
That's so important. I think that is a golden nugget right there. Are you the right person to deliver the feedback?
Exactly. Unsolicited feedback is often taken the wrong way.
Judgment.
Yes, it's seen as judgment. It's seen as being, you think you're too good and you think you're better than me and all of that sort of thing. So recognizing whether someone is receptive to you giving them advice, that's part of being emotionally mature. But the emotional maturity, again, I want to emphasize, is a consequence of your self-awareness. It's not something that happens on its own. And self-awareness is not one component of emotional maturity, because that's just putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah. Can you rewrite the 10 points on emotional maturity? Because if I can read this back to you, constructive feedback handling is defined as not taking feedback personally, but instead using it to learn, to improve, and to grow.
That's assuming that I must always accept that when someone's giving me feedback, I'm always wrong.
Yeah.
Because, I'm supposed to grow from it. I'm supposed to learn from it. No. That's how you become so liberal that you fall for anything. And that's why you then open yourself up to anyone with a credential.
I think that that's a very rare train of thought. It's rare because nowadays people are like, my psychologist said, my therapist said, my boss feels that I should. You have people who are going home, they don't switch off work mode because they're so, still in that mode where they can't even switch tracks. And then the label takes over and it becomes their identity. So the feedback is taken personally. It takes a really big person, really self-aware person to be like, but then if this is a constructive conversation, I should be able to challenge what you're saying.
Yes.
Or I should be able to say, I understand how you feel, but maybe your perception of what I did is different towards my intention or compared to what I intended to achieve through doing things A, B, and C. But do the constructive feedback people want us to challenge them?
Do they want constructive feedback about their constructive feedback? Again, who goes first? Who corrects first? Who is the one that determines who's the one with more merit?
Yeah.
It has to be purposeful.
Yeah.
It has to be relative to what is it that you're trying to achieve, not just some whitewashed nonsense about how you're supposed to conduct yourself. And when it comes to boundaries also.
Yeah.
Who determines what a healthy boundary is?
Yeah.
Because a boundary should be values-based. It shouldn't be a line in the sand. That's why you can have a boundary with one person and the same boundary you're willing to flex it with someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, but.
Exactly. And then if someone was observing from a third party's perspective and looking at you conducting yourself differently with two different people, they'll say, oh, no, you're a hypocrite. Look, with that person, you got a problem with this. No, it's not about being a hypocrite. It's about context.
Yes.
It's about relevance. It's about what role do you play in someone's life. What I'm going to allow my partner to get away with in our personal space is not going to be the same thing I'm going to allow a colleague to get away with.
Of course.
So you're not supposed to be so rigid and so rules driven that you have to be that way or else.
Yeah. So I love so far what we have covered of the 10 points. You have managed to butcher them. Here we have the intrinsic motivation, being driven by internal goals and passion rather than external rewards like fame or money.
And what if what you're doing is actually supposed to earn income? Because you need the income to support your family or people who are reliant on you or dependent on you, or even just to finance the actual life you're trying to live.
Of course.
Because there's the majority of people, they're doing what they do because they need to finance life, right? They're not. It's a means to an end. It's not the end itself. So, talking about motivation, it's about you need to be okay with what is your intrinsic motivation behind doing something. And you need to understand that so that you adjust your approach and your expectations relative to that, right? If I come along and tell you this is how you're supposed to be motivated, then I'm talking nonsense. Because I can't tell you what should motivate you, because your life experience, your goals, your aspirations, your value system, your belief system, all of that is unique to you. So if anyone comes along and tells you how you're supposed to live by your value system and by your goals and your aspirations and give you what your aspirations should be, they're a dictator.
And they cloaked in your motivator.
Oh yeah,
your mentor.
Yeah, he's a motivational speaker. Oh my God.
It's my mentor.
If you want to insult me, you can call me a motivational speaker.
I haven't used that word.
I'm probably not doing myself any favors because there's a lot of people that's going to take exception to what I'm saying, right? But here's the thing, right? We need to understand where motivation comes from. The moment you need someone else to motivate you, you're not getting someone to motivate you. You're abdicating accountability for why you don't see value in your life. And that accountability thing, a lot of people don't like it. It triggers a lot of people because, like, oh, so you're saying I'm responsible for this and it's not because they did this and that. It's not about it. It's about you are accountable for what you do with what someone else did to you.
Yeah.
You're not responsible for what they did to you.
Yeah.
No one's saying that. But what you do with that, how you respond to that, how you allow that to define you from that moment on, all of that is your accountability. And I promise you, if you are accountable for that, emotional maturity and all of these other nonsense things that we keep talking about comes as a natural consequence.
Yeah. And I think it's important, the tit for tat, thinking. What do you do with what somebody did to you?
Yes. How do you process that, right?
How do you choose to respond or not?
And that's where you need to recognize that you either understand where they're at and why it is that they behave that way towards you. It could be because they have other things going on in their life, like we said earlier. That could be the tipping point for something else. Or one of the things that we often neglect is we don't consider what impact we have on them. And because we assume that we don't have that impact on them, they're not warranted in responding so strongly to us.
Yeah. I didn't do that to you.
So now you're effectively telling someone who actually holds you in high regard, you're telling them that they're not allowed to. And then you'll complain about the fact that they don't hold you in high regard after that.
It's a very it's like the mark of emotional maturity. I don't know if I can use that. Is what you do with what people did to you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the measure, right? So here they say adaptability and resilience. The ability to handle setbacks, adapt to new situations, and bounce back from failure.
Right. Cool. How does it reflect emotional maturity? How doesn't that reflect resilience, tenacity? Someone who's just got a die-hard attitude about life, but in personal relationships, they're a steamroller. The moment you start reducing life to 10 points this and 10 points that, you've lost the plot.
Absolutely. There was something that I was thinking about the other day, and that was the aspect of society's prescription on what success looks like. Go to school, go to high school, go to university, get a degree, get married, 2.0 kids, white picket fence, SUV, 2 holidays a year, and how blindly people are following the prescription as if there's some
in fact, it's 2.1 kids, right?
2.1, right? Okay.
Because if it's 2.0, we're going to decline.
Right. Yeah.
So if you don't have 2.1 kids,
Yeah.
which means that you have to collaborate with at least 10 other people to find out who's the one person that's going to have 3 kids. So that between the 10 of you, you can meet the criteria for sustaining the human race, right?
Yes.
The moment it's 2.0, we're going to decline.
Yes. It has occurred to me that we have lived in a matrix.
We are the matrix because we do this to ourselves. Everyone's talking about whether we live in a simulation or not. No, seriously, man. Whether we do or we don't, it doesn't change your reality of what you have to deal with now.
Absolutely. And people who take the road less traveled are seen as, how can you go against the prescription?
Yes.
Who are you? You're a threat.
And if you're taking the road less traveled because you just want to rebel, then that says something about you compared to you taking the road less traveled because you have a vision about a belief that something on this other path will be of benefit to us.
Yeah.
It will create some value that the normal road that we're traveling, the highways of life, you're not going to see it.
So I've seen something recently. I've seen an increase in girls between the age of 18 to maybe 22, right? They literally come forward and say, I am in an abusive relationship. I come from a good home. My parents are amazing people. I don't have any trauma. But I get into a relationship with a guy who is controlling, who says I'm immature, who feels that they need to, become aggressive with me emotionally and physically. And I've accepted this despite not coming from a home where I'm familiar with this.
Mm-hmm.
And now I need therapy because I literally, like, I can't get out of this relationship.
So the one thing I always draw an absolute line at is the physical abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Physical abuse is never ever something that is subjective.
Yeah.
That's physical hard evidence in front of you about who's being aggressive and physical and who isn't, right? But when it comes to emotional abuse and things like that, it's extremely subjective.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful about throwing around labels like he's emotionally abusive or she's emotionally abusive and things like that.
Yes.
How you receive them is going to determine whether you feel abused or not.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the important part is, do you feel abused? Even though they are abusing you, don't have to feel abused. You can just see that their behavior is abusive, but how you feel about that is a reflection of how you take it from them and how you feel about yourself.
That is so important. They might be abusive, but do you feel abused?
Yes. So someone can be screaming in my face and taking me on highs and lows emotionally and provoking me and deliberately trying to incense me about things.
Yeah.
And I can say, yes, that's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Do I feel abused? No. I'm just not happy about the fact that you're so abusive towards me. How I feel about myself is a reflection of what I think of myself, not what I think others think of me. And if I'm so fixated on what others think of me, then I'm going to need the 10 points.
Very true.
Right? Because then I'm trying to show up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it right so that I can take away any reason for them to say that it's me.
Yeah. And basically what they're saying is, I should be emotionally mature enough to know when I'm being abused and walk away. Why is it so hard to walk away?
Exactly. And the whole contemplation about whether I'm emotionally mature or not, that's a misdirect. That's a distraction. Are you dealing with something in a way that is causing harm or benefit? Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Are you benefiting yourself or harming yourself? Are you solving the right problem, or are you solving a wrong problem and creating a bigger problem? Are you interpreting the other person's behavior correctly because of a true understanding of what's going on, or are you just judging them and expecting them to show up the way you need them to show up, regardless of how they feel about what impact you have on them?
And I think you've raised a very crucial, very important point that I want to reiterate, is that you don't have to be abused.
Yes.
In all senses.
And I'm not saying this flippantly, right? I know people who have been gang raped, clients, right? And the gang rape didn't define them.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from the monstrosity of the experience.
Yes.
Right? But you don't become defined by it. That's why you see some people of the Epstein files in that they can stand up and they can say, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't shape how they feel about themselves. And there's other people who are too ashamed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you take from it and how you feel defined by what life throws at you is a reflection of what you think of yourself, not what people think of you.
And that's just it, right? It happened to you.
Yes.
It happened. But it does not have to become who you are.
Exactly.
You know, there was one of the ladies who started an organization to assist rape victims. She was gang raped in Parktown. And when they interviewed her, I'll never forget her answer. It was many years ago. They said, how is it that you go through your days, like, you know, surviving with that? And she said, they raped me once. I will not allow them to rape me every single day for the rest of my life.
Exactly. What you take from it, what you choose to do with it, how you feel defined by it. Those are choices you make. And if your choices are driven by what you think others think of you because of what happened to you and because of what they know about you, then you're distracted. And then you're going to blame society when you're the problem.
Yeah. So how do you know you're dealing with a emotionally mature person? Now we leave the 10 points alone. How does Coach Zaid identify an emotionally, what do they say? You are not emotionally available. Have you heard this before?
Oh, yes, the emotional availability, emotional accessibility. I think the way we experience people in that regard, yes, it's true.
Yeah.
We can be emotionally available, accessible. But again, none of us are so kind of fixed and rigid that if we are that way in one space, we're that way in every space of our life.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why we end up with diagnoses like narcissism in that, because the person is so amazing with everyone else, but with us, they're so selfish and so defensive and so insecure and all of that, right?
Yeah.
It's because of what we feel is people's expectation from us and how we believe we are able to show up in that space.
Yeah.
So for me to be fantastic and amazing and pleasant in a public setting or social setting It's very different to how much criteria I have to fulfill when I'm at home. So emotional maturity is about me being able to recognize how I am impacted by the different circumstances in my life. Not how I need the different circumstances in my life to bend and shape around what I think is healthy.
Yeah. And you hear this all the time, where people say, you don't show up for me.
Right. But what does showing up look like? And is your expectation of me showing up going to be something that diminishes my dignity, that undermines my agency, that undermines my sense of self, my self-respect? Do you want to turn me into a doormat and you see that as me showing up for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who sets the boundaries, right? And that's why I'm saying boundaries have to be values-based. If my value system, and I've got good reason, not just I'm plucking it out of some spiritual document or I'm plucking it out of some doctrine of some sort or academic textbook, my personal value system about what I believe is important about being human and treating others like humans, that determines whether or not I'm going to tolerate what it is that you're throwing at me. And then, if you're throwing something at me that I disagree with, my response to that reflects my understanding of why you might be doing that, or maybe there's something in it that I'm not seeing, or what's going on. I don't know you to be this way. It comes back to the same question I ask couples all the time. Do you believe the person you're with, or the person you're interacting with in this case, do you believe they're a good person who sometimes behaves badly? Or do you believe they're a bad person who sometimes behaves in a good way? And if you're making the assumption that they're a bad person, then you're already starting off on a negative judgment, and then you're going to interpret everything they do within that context. But if you make the assumption that they're a good person, but you lose sight of that, then instead of getting drawn into their bad behavior, you consider why it is that they're behaving badly when you know that this is not you. What's going on, right? The way you want someone to be able to correct you or understand you is the same effort you need to put in to correcting and understanding someone else.
And I think that's where people fall short.
Yeah.
Is that you want to be understood more than you want to understand.
Yes.
And it creates a deficit in everything. Communication, the way you feel about each other, and it snowballs, right?
It does, completely, because you lose yourself to it. It's like, that age-old wisdom of do unto others as you would have done unto you.
Yeah.
Treat others the way you would want to be treated, all of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't only refer to the physical. It doesn't refer to just like, whether you must do kind gestures towards them. It's also about if you were in a bad space, how would you want someone to approach you as opposed to how would you want someone to judge you?
Yeah.
And then you do the same in return. If you see someone else is in a bad space, you don't go and approach them in a way that's going to make it worse. You have to approach it in a way that's going to give them reason to recognize what it is. But again, I come back to what we said in the beginning. You need to be sure that you're the person they want to hear it from.
Yeah, I think that's so important.
Yes, because if they don't want to hear it from you, you're going to have every reason to believe that, hey, and this is where life gets complicated, right? Especially in your close relationships, your blood ties, your partnerships, is that if you're not the person they want to hear it from, but you are also accountable for showing up to them, for them in a certain way, relative to what it is that they need to hear from you or correct about themselves, that creates contention.
Absolutely. So don't be telling your mother-in-law how to make biryani. She doesn't want to hear it from you.
Yes, and don't go and get married into a family and try and change their family culture because our family doesn't do it this way.
Exactly. And that's also a level of emotional maturity.
Yes.
And that's a process.
Yes.
You mature through life experiences. You learn. And you have to be open to learning. And you have to be open to, okay, you don't have to take everything people say to you as, okay, this is who I am.
Yes.
That's also the filter. There's a filter needed, right?
There is a filter needed and there's a reality check needed, right? Know your place.
Yeah.
Right? And if you know your place, that's one reflection of the fact that you are emotionally mature. Right? Where you must understand who are you to go in and dictate how something should change.
Yeah.
And the best kind of way of communicating why it is that you think something should change is to give people an opportunity to experience the benefit of your way of doing it.
Yeah.
Not telling them that they must do it that way and they just trust you.
Yeah.
If you're not in a position of credibility or authority for them to want to trust you, then you're asking them for something that's a bit unrealistic.
Absolutely. If you never made biryani for the family, don't you come tell me how to do it right now.
Yes. And if you decide that your way of making biryani is better than your mother-in-law's or whatever, and you decide to make it that way anyway, and they don't like it, it's not because they got something against you. It's just that you're asking them to eat something that just goes against what they grew up with.
Absolutely. And I think that's also the thing. It's like advice can be filtered, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But also how we receive it can be filtered. You don't have to act on every piece of information that someone throws at you.
I wish people would just turn the volume up on that one. Because, yay.
Just because someone said something doesn't mean you have to prove them right or wrong, or you have to put them in their place or something.
What does that say about you? What is wrong with you in that case? If you are following what they said to the T, no, it must be done like this. It must be done like this, to the letter. What's wrong? Even though you disagree, even though it's not sitting well with you.
You're insecure about your place in that structure, in that hierarchy, in that social setting.
Yeah.
If you're going to insist that something must be maintained a certain way, tradition, custom, whatever it is, you have to demonstrate why it's important. You can start out by saying, no, hold on, we're not going to do that. But you have to follow it up with effort to get them to understand and listen. It's not just about we do it this way or else. It's about these reasons. This is why it's important to us. This is how it brought us together. This is what it resonates with as a family unit, as our culture, as our tradition.
Yeah.
It's about valuing and appreciating and respecting why something is important to someone else.
Yeah.
Rather than insisting that, no, that's problematic. You must do it the way I want to do it.
Yeah. And I think with children as well, the three, like we are 4 kids. 3 of us, we follow tradition without asking because our parents said, this is what we do. Every Eid, this is what we do. This is who we visit. This is the routine. This is the structure. Then comes the Lat Lamiki, my little brother, who goes, this is peer pressure. And we all looking at him like, do you want to die? Like, we don't want to die. So please.
When it comes to those kinds of family traditions, right, the one thing I always wonder is like, why is it that we don't recognize the reason we feel a certain kind of sense of belonging and social cohesion, even if it's just in our own family or extended family?
Yeah.
Why don't we recognize that it's a consequence of those kinds of practices and traditions? So the more we erode that, the more we water that down, and we say it's not so important, like, people have their own lives these days and everyone's busy and we've also got our own family and we must develop our own traditions in that.
Yeah.
Then you're dismantling the very thing that gave you reason to want to have your own traditions.
The value system, again, it plays such a big part in the value system.
Yes, and in that case, out of your 4 siblings, I would imagine 3 of them are still holding on to it, not just because your parents said so.
Yeah.
But because there's a value that you experienced from that, and also because you value what it is that's important to the people that are important to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the thing. Now, the younger generation, they disconnected from that because they're being raised by Miss Rachel and others. And I don't have anything against Miss Rachel, but we don't realize how much we're outsourcing role models.
Yeah.
Not just teaching.
Yeah.
Role models.
Yeah.
Those of us that went through school and saw role models in our teachers, we came out in a much healthier, grounded way. Those of us that went through school and saw our teachers being antagonistic and insulting and condescending and dismissive and absent in their role as a role model, we came out from school with a very different experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And the same thing applies to life. The adults around us either give us something to aspire to or they give us something to push against.
Yeah.
And the same way, when we get into that space, we need to recognize that that's what we are offering.
Of course. I mean, the correct response from my father was, let me show you what peer pressure looks like. And my brother was appalled. He was like, I have rights. Do you know, if you say that, especially to an Indian father, I know my rights, he would be like, okay, phone child line.
I was going to say, here's my phone. Here's
my phone, And when I asked my brother years later, I laughed. My father's late now, and I'd be like, so when Dad said that, what were you thinking? Because he just blurted out the one day when my father asked him, so what is tradition, my son, the genius? Tell me. And he says, it is peer pressure from dead people.
Oh yeah, that's when the memes inform your wisdom.
Exactly. And my dad told me, you have to take care of this one. You must stay close to your sister, And it's so important for us to know that there's gaps.
Yes.
Generational gaps here. Gaps in understanding, gaps. Our life experiences means we all understand and perceive things differently. So we're able to help each other out.
Yes.
and lend our wisdom to each other, because I mean there are things that
But that's the thing, right? The wisdom behind the tradition.
yeah.
So if times change, what is it that you are maintaining about the wisdom of the tradition that's going to be adapted to the changing times? So you don't abandon the tradition because that way of doing it is no longer important,
Yeah.
or it's just not practical or feasible, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But you understand what was the wisdom behind it and ensure that what you're replacing it with is going to achieve the same wisdom.
Absolutely. So that the wisdom is not lost.
Yes, it's the wisdom we're losing. And the one thing that I think is a major problem here is that we lose wisdom because of the cynicism of the memes that we consume on a daily basis, right? It sounds like fun, it sounds like entertainment and all of those, and a light-hearted take on life. But when the rubber hits the road, when the pressure builds up, we draw on that and we quote that.
And much is lost.
A lot is lost because then we're more about being clever than we are about engaging meaningfully with the people around us.
Absolutely. And much is lost. The wisdom, the value, the relationships, because then people start to think you're lackluster,
Yes.
like you won't take anything seriously, so I'm not going to invest. There's
Yes.
no point. We're hitting a wall here. So,
And to bring that back to our topic, what you just described, that's how you experience emotional immaturity,
Yeah.
right? When someone seems like they're shallow, like they're empty, like they've got nothing of value or substance to add of their own, that they're always quoting and throwing memes and rules and this gibberish that they
Yeah.
come across from the gurus in that. When that's all they can do is re-quote someone else's views about something and claim it as their own, that doesn't strike you as someone of substance. So you have less reason to want to engage unless you want to have a theoretical debate with them about who they're listening to versus who you're listening to. And that's where you get the ones who follow the Tates and who follow the Candace Owens or whoever it is that they then follow and they quote them, believing that that's where they're getting their wisdom from.
Yeah.
Look closer to home.
I like what you said about outsourcing our role models.
Yeah.
We definitely are outsourcing our role models. And like I still maintain that between the different generations, that emotional maturity gap
Yeah.
that's there that we're having to close and tussle over, and basically I think that plays a big role in the misunderstandings of each other, and it affects growth.
Yes. It completely affects growth, and also it prevents you from seeing the person next to you.
Yeah.
Seeing the person in front of you. And when that comes to blood ties and it comes to family-child relationships and things like that, parent-child relationships, if you don't see your parent with all the struggles and all the constraints and all of their own demons they're there to fight just so that you could get to that point where you can now tell them that they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
If you don't see that, you completely take them for granted, you dismiss all their efforts and all their sacrifices, and you reduce them to some meme. You disconnected, you're emotionally unavailable, you this, you that.
Yeah, that's what social media said.
Yeah. And look, your people's way is like toxic and we must cut you off and all of that. Come on.
Wow.
That's extremely opportunistic and self-absorbed to want to take benefit from someone who you want to write off as human.
And I don't think that this depth and understanding is well received sometimes.
No,
I
it's
think
not.
it hurts their head to go too far.
The moment they have to contemplate something other than like, how does it serve me?
Yes.
What do I need?
Yes.
If that becomes like a major roadblock for you, then you've got a problem. You need to solve that problem, because you're not just affected by that problem in your one relationship. It's a problem that will affect you in all relationships.
There are so many people I want to refer to you. Just letting you know. I just want to refer a whole lot of people to you. Coach Zaid, what is your parting shot on our topic today?
Don't get distracted by emotional intelligence and all of the academic drivel that goes around that. You're either a grounded human being or you're not. And what being a grounded human being in your right, in your life, in your space, in the relationships that are important to you, you need to be aware of what that should look like. And if it's not looking the way you want it to look, take accountability for your contribution towards improving it or changing it. Don't just blame other people for not cooperating.
Sure. Yeah, today the script was flipped. Today I'm actually going to re-listen to this because there were so many golden nuggets that came from you today. I must say, Jazakallah so much for that. And I want to digest this. I want to process this. I want to put this in perspective. Like many of our listeners who I know also benefit greatly from these topics every single week. So until we meet again next week, Ramadan Mubarak.
I mean, you too.
Next week you can expect more exciting topics. And Coach Zaid, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah so much.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
And there we have it, guys. That was your weekly dose of Coach Zaid. That was your session. That's what I'm going to start calling it. It's your session. It's our session. And today I got schooled. I don't know about you. I need to go back and do a brainstorm, flip chart, puppet show, poetry, something to remind myself of what's important. And I ask myself, how emotionally intelligent am I? Swear words. All right. Bhageshri up next. And have an awesome day. Lots sending you love and light. And back, God willing, between 7 and 10 tomorrow.